All right, factoring quadratics and polynomials by grouping. A quadratic is anything with x squared. A polynomial is any degree. We can use grouping for any degree polynomial. We're going to be focusing mainly on quadratics this week for this unit. We'll be using factoring by grouping when we get to general trinomials when a does not equal 1. Remember to refer to the factoring by GCF video for this as well. It will be really helpful. When we're factoring by grouping, we're going to usually have 4 terms. And what we want to do is we want to pair those up. It doesn't really matter what pairs you do. You usually want to group the first 2 and the last 2 together. So we're going to pair up terms, factor out a GCF from the pair, then we're going to factor out a GCF from our newly factored pairs, and then we're going to rewrite our solution as 2 binomials. We're going to start out with 4 terms, we're going to end up with 4 terms. So I have a generic example that has a whole bunch of letters in it. I know this is going to sound kind of confusing, so I'm going to walk through it slowly. I have AX plus BX plus AY plus BY. A, B are they're just coefficients, they're numbers, all right? X and Y are our variables. So I'm pairing up AX and BX and AY and BY because these have the same variable, these have the same variable. They have different coefficients, and they have different numbers in front of them. All right, so think of any number you want to put in front of them, but this A and this A are the same A. All right, so if you think of this one being a 5 and this one being a 7, then this is also a 5 and this is also a 7. All right, does that make sense? All right. If you have questions, again, make sure you ask them in class, post them on the blog, ask them of your friends. AX and BX have an X in common, so we're going to factor that out. When I do that, I'm left with A plus B. AY and BY have a Y in common. So when I factor that out, I'm left with A plus B. Over here I have an A plus B. Over here I have an A plus B. This is one term, X times A plus B. This is one term, Y times A plus B. So of my newly factored terms, I now have something in common. I'm going to factor out A plus B. So I factor that out. And what I'm left with is X plus Y. Do you see how I got that? A plus B from here. And there's only one of them because it's one from each term. When I factored out the X, even though I took an X from each term, I only took out one X. All right, I didn't take an X from here and an X from here and get 2 X's. I only took one X. So I have A plus B and X plus Y. Hopefully it'll make a little bit more sense when we start actually using numbers. All right, I have A cubed plus 4A squared plus 3A minus 12. And again, I'm generally going to try to group my first 2 and my last 2. So I have A cubed minus 4A squared plus 3A minus 12. Over here I have A squared in common because I have A cubed and A squared. So the most I can take out is an A squared. So once I factor out the A squared, A cubed becomes A, and 4A squared becomes minus 4. So I factor out the A squared. 3A minus 12, 3 and 12 are both divisible by 3. So when I factor that out, I'm left with A minus 4. So now I'm going to pull out my greatest common factor from the pair, and that happens to be the A minus 4. So there's my A minus 4. And what I'm left with is A squared plus 3, which gives me my solution. Again, if you have questions or if this doesn't make sense, pause, go back if you need to. All right, if I'm talking too quickly, I apologize. Ooh, last board doesn't want to stay up here, sorry. Wanted to come along for the ride. All right, my last example here, I have 4x squared plus 12x plus 5x plus 15. This is a quadratic. This is what we're going to end up doing when we are using them for general trinomials when a is not equal to 1. In this case, our a is going to be 4. This is how we're going to end up rewriting them, all right? So I'm going to group, and I'm going to have 4x squared and 12x grouped together, and I'm going to group 5x and 15 together. Now 4x squared and 12x have what in common? Good. They have a 4x in common. So that's what we're pulling out. And I'm left with x plus 3. 5x and 15 have a 5 in common. So I pull that out. Once I do that, I'm left with x plus 3. Hopefully you can see what I'm going to factor out next. Yes, it's the x plus 3. Apologize for getting in your way of the camera here. I have x plus 3, and then I'm left with the 4x plus 5. There's my new binomials. Please try the 2 questions at the end of your lesson. If you have questions, ask them of your classmates, ask them on the blog, ask me in class. Thank you.